The Art of the Painter and Ornatist, Carlo Basilico. From the Essays by Claudio Guarda. Carlo Basilico was born on 11th July 1895 in Rancate, near Mendrisio in Ticino. An ornatist by profession and painter in his spare time. A creative man with many interests, an unusual and valuable artist, and little known to the general public.
Of course, if I had lived in Paris, without the responsibility of having to think about family and business, I could have devoted myself exclusively to painting, and I would have developed otherwise.
This is the confession that one day Carlo Basilico made to his nephew. His artistic production is still today little known to the general public, a painting of an intimate and personal character, to which the colorist devoted himself to in his spare time. The figure and the work of Basilico arouse particular interest, since from the very beginning, that is, from the first decades of the 20th century, his paintings stand out in the Ticino artistic context for the colourism, not Lombard but French. Let's start at the beginning. Who is Carlo Basilico? Basilico was born into a modest working-class family. His father came from Brianza in Italy, and his mother was from Stabio in Ticino. From an early age, he showed a keen interest in drawing. So, he first attended evening classes at the drawing school in Mendrisio. At the age of 14, he left for Turin to attend the renowned School of Ornamentation. He received his diploma 5 years later and won the silver medal. This prize opened the doors of a famous decoration studio for him. In 1916, however, he had to return home because of the war. In 1918, he found employment with the decoration company of Pietro Prada, of which he became a trusted collaborator and then owner in 1926, after the untimely death of his father-in-law. In short, his life was divided between decoration and painting. In reality, he was a creative man who devoted himself to multiple activities. He was a designer and planner, as well as a graphic designer. He loved music and played the English horn in city music of Chiasso. But above all, he devoted himself to two great activities, both concerning painting, as private research and expression, and then also professional and public, connected to the company. In fact, he had a great professional conscience, both in running the company and in defending the jobs of his co-workers, whom he treated as brothers, as well as in procuring demanding jobs as an ornamental painter in villas, churches, chapels, and author such as the Cinema Theatre in Chiasso. Having said this, we can explain what personal painting was for Basilico, his painting. It was a diary about the life he lived, made on days off from work, in moments of rest. A way of putting on paper corners of landscapes that struck him on his Sunday walks through the Adorna countryside, or his family members and places at home in everyday life. His wife Irma washing at the washtub in the garden, the backyard with its flower pots, the little terrace on the river, the hills in the soft colors of spring or in the mists of autumn. They were pages to himself, a kind of diary of the soul, loaded with all its emotions, notes of the journey that is life, and which he kept to himself. As far as exhibitions are concerned, it can be said that he exhibited his works on several occasions, but exhibiting was not his goal. He was a member of the Ticino Fine Arts Society, and also participated in prestigious exhibitions such as at the Kunsthaus Zurich in 30 and 45, at the Trevano Castle in 37, at the Swiss National Exhibition in Zurich in 39, and at the Exhibition of 8 in Mendrisio in 41. And this could only honor him, but he did not fight to get there. After all, he did not like to separate himself from the pages of his painting. At this point, one can emphasize his peculiarities. Speaking of his painting, it is appropriate to separate his two activities, that of the painter, who paints for himself, and that of the ornamentist, who gives shape to the requests, even extravagant ones, from the clients. What is striking about his painting is not only his unusual palette of the 1920s, but also the expressiveness of sign and color, that in the 1930s have an intrinsic strength and energy. That transforms them into structure, which was very unusual at that time. Why is Basilico's painting little known to the general public? There are two main reasons. The first one is, he did not want to sell his works, so there is no market and there are no galleries interested in promoting the trade, and museums have no works of his, and if you don't see him, you don't know him. The second is that, after his death in 66, the artworks remained stationary, in storage in Chiasso, and finally migrated to Basel, where his grandson lives who looks after them. Nowadays, through the internet and websites, one can show his artworks and draw the attention of the public and art lovers to this very interesting figure of an artist in relation to the Ticino context of those years. If one day one was to make a survey of art in Ticino in the 1920s and 1940s, Basilico would stand out like few others for the freshness and modernity of his painting. His painting is free, lively, and empathetic. A painting that gives the viewer a feeling of participation and creates an immediate sympathy. Claudio Guarda is an art historian and art critic who has made an important contribution to the understanding of Basilico's art through the selection of works and an in-depth examination of the historical and artistic context in which they were created. Claudio Guarda graduated in art history in Milan with Gianalberto Dell'Acqua and taught Italian literature and art history at the Liceo Cantonale in Locarno. Since 1987, he has regularly written art criticism in newspapers and magazines in the canton of Ticino. For a decade, he held a weekly art column in Il Café and currently collaborates with La Regione. He has participated in exhibitions, edited monographs and catalogues, both in Ticino and beyond the Alps. From 1996 to 2008, he was a member of the Cantonal Fine Arts Commission, and from 2005 to 2008 of the Cultural Commission of the City of Lugano.